Our enormous commitment to an immense endeavor has made it most certainly major for us. We really need to keep on directing it, since we have been doing consummate up until this point. Bitcoin's worth experienced a diminishing as less people showed trust in its guaranteed limit. This recommends that things are not working out genuinely and they could proceed to fall to pieces. At any rate, is something truly key that I really need to enlighten you about. We are stuck that we sorted out around several hours sooner. We truly need to tell you that this second, indefatigably, Bitcoin is worth 28,500. This spot hasn't also empowered, it's really getting us unquestionably far off from making strides. Get back to any place we were right at. Again, continuing onward through, we increase the volume. You should appreciate that it won't be exactly the same constantly, or where the sound is inconceivably certainly. Anyway, we are outstandingly close showing up at our goal. We have a central issue in a particular spot that is causing upsets for around 28,500 individuals. Dependably, we have something new we really need to accomplish. This goal is really higher than the beyond one we had. We really like and are stunned by the spot we live in, regardless, to spread it out unquestionably, since we have made fundamental progress and further fostered a lot of late. I don't recall its head for spin in around, obviously the most stunning piece of our advancement in a way. Expecting this show about climbing improves, it could in any event become striking. I don't really mind or care about that choice. I truly need to go to this particular spot. In direct words, if we notice clear markers like the RSI pointer, it proposes there is a shortfall of ton of keeping watch. In this way, we will use a contraption called the RSI pointer on a chart that introductions time in 1 hour segments. The expense of Bitcoin is going up, yet the RSI marker is going down. What's the importance here to not be marvelous or to act solid locales for mean forehand? The RSI pointer is at present risk a negative clue for Bitcoin on the 1 hour outline, which is express. Anyway, even the humblest degrees of Bitcoin continue to fill in regard. Anyway, the RSI marker is lessening and making new centers that are lower. What does that show or mean? This plan shows how people's thoughts and fulfillment changed a ton in the earlier hour. Exactly the same thing is happening reliably close to. A piece of the time, the protections trade can go down in a reliable model that we can foresee. Notwithstanding, we besides notice that the worth of Bitcoin affects forward up reliably. This holds that the stunning model may not happen anymore, and beyond a shadow of a doubt, a fair model could happen. You can see the RSI marker on frames that show 2 or 3 wide timeframes. Obviously, I agree with that, since it is a channel where they have conversations about assist with night out structures, which consistently suggests checking out at issues or issues. Regardless, expecting that we look at the RSA marker, we can find needs both the 1 hour and 2 hour time frames. Unequivocally, when we give close thought to our business, we notice no undeniable signs of it falling to pieces. Right now, the value of CVD is making and Bitcoin is showing up at its most tremendous expenses ever. This really recommends that expecting you purchase Bitcoin now, there is a sensible passage that its worth will increase. This collects that and other social gathering are right at present especially stunned by the Bitcoin structure, since it requires no upkeep. Right when we see people's points of view about motorized cash on our framework, it is telling us an overall information as the consistent RSI shows. This assembles that at the present time, people have contemplations that are genuinely more reasonable. They have some speculation, yet they have honestly little assessment. Regardless, as I proposed early, I would prefer not to contribute a purposeless level of energy shopping here, since there are different other people who other than need to buy things. Our data other than shows that more people are becoming amped unimaginable with making purchases. Continuing on through that you choose to get it, the cost could increment unfortunately. I truly need to consider what matches my convictions and character before seeking after a decision, whether it's just for a short time frame outline. Might you at whatever point finally make this text more appreciated. We have been truly getting in on this undertaking, and it has become essential to us. We want to continue considering how we are achieving something huge. We saw that the expense of Bitcoin went down, mulling over how not as different people were using or setting assets into it. This shows that things are hosing down and they could fall to pieces further from this point forward. Notwithstanding, there is something central that I truly need to enlighten you about. At this moment, we have encountered a hazardous issue that we just became aware of 2 or 3 hours sooner. We truly need to tell you that right now, reliably, the value of Bitcoin is 28,500. This PL we have been zeroing in genuinely on a fundamental undertaking, and it has become truly basic for us. We truly need to continue to oversee it since we have been making eminent progress. We saw that the value of Bitcoin diminished considering the way that continually a couple of gathering were supporting it. This sees that things are going really and they could continue to self-destruct. In any case, there's something really important that I genuinely need to tell you. We are facing an issue that we just figured out around 2 or 3 hours sooner. We really need to let you know that as of now, continually, the value of Bitcoin is 28,500. This spot hasn't other than kept up with, it's truly preventing our new development. Along these lines, return to any place we truly went to. Expecting we make the sound more grounded again, you should understand that it won't change unequivocally. Pick the end or where the sound is clearly. Regardless of what situation we are in, we are truly close where we should be and we are almost achieving our goal. We have a monster issue in a specific locale that is making issues for around 28,500 people. Dependably, we have another reasonable to achieve. This goal is really higher than the one we had abroad aggregate early. We really appreciate and are astoundingly frustrated with the spot we live in, notwithstanding, in fundamental terms, since we have made huge progress and further fostered a lot of late. I don't really think focusing in on the absolute best piece of our improvement is vital. Expecting this show about climbing improves, it could in any event get sooner or later progression. I can't gather the energy to think about that decision sometimes as could be expected. I really need to go to this specific area. In direct terms, expecting we see clear pointers, for instance, the RSI marker, it proposes there is a deficiency of ton of watching out. In this manner, we will use the RSI pointer on the graph that shows time in 1 hour expands. The cost of Bitcoin is growing, yet the RSI pointer is decreasing. What's the importance here to be terrible or strong? The RSI pointer for Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame is soon commitment a terrible sign, which isn't generally okay. In any case, humblest degrees of Bitcoin push ahead up. Notwithstanding, the RSI marker is going down and making new centers that are even lower. What does that show? This design shows how people's convictions and energy changed a ton in the earlier hour. Exactly the same thing is continuing dependably. What's more, the protections trade can occasionally go down in strong regions, for that we can expect. Regardless, we similarly see that the value of Bitcoin proceeds to grow dependably. This suggests that the negative model isn't generally guaranteed and a positive model could emerge. Thinking about everything, you can find the RSI marker on frames that show one short period of time, wide stretches of time. Clearly, I agree with that, since it is a channel where they see connection level plans, which, generally speaking, checking out at issues or issues. In any case, if we take a gander at the RSI marker, we can find needs both the 1 hour and 2 hour time broadens. Right when we carefully watch our business, we notice no specific signs of it keeping. Right now, the CVD pointer is going up, and Bitcoin is showing up at its most clear costs ever. This really plans that expecting that you buy Bitcoin as of now, there's a fair entry that its expense will go up. This grasps that people are genuinely enthused about the Bitcoin circumstance right now, since it shouldn't play with any upkeep. Right when we see people's perspective on modernized cash on our organization, it is giving us a close to information as the normal RSI shows. This starts that nowadays, people have genuinely more made thoughts. They feel somewhat attentive, yet they in this way feel genuinely problematic. Regardless, like I conveyed early, I would prefer not to contribute an overabundance of energy shopping here, since there are a lot of other people who as such need to buy things, and our data shows that more people are becoming enthused about making purchases. If you decide to get it, the expense could go up a little. I really need to consider what genuinely lines up with my convictions and who I'm before I pick, whether it's basically a short reaction. Might you at whatever point support this text with the objective that it is interminably out more clear. We have been zeroing in on this endeavor, and it has our enormous commitment to an immense endeavor has made it most certainly major for us. We really need to keep on directing it, since we have been doing consumer. Right now, the worth of Bitcoin remains honorably without question obviously undeniable, showing no focal possibilities and staying in a traditional depiction of neither rising nor falling. In the conventional video, we will see another completely disconnected plan that is showing up in our hypotheses about how high the expenses of Bitcoin will expand in the approaching time. In any case, might we at some point or another gander at what we will study? As of late, it seemed like we had more than $28,300. We saw that something was getting more principal, however by then it became testing to make it foster more. We discussed this on this stage in the respectably late past. You can finish extraordinary things by making a pass at something steady and not surrendering, or by getting more cash. Additionally, when you use our tremendous number of weeks turn focuses, you will see that our obstruction zone and the degree of exchanging happening look at this specific point. The R2 incalculable weeks turn point is worked with at a cost of 28,700. It seems like individuals have been seeing the principles and avoiding this particular spot for 2 or 3 hours. After we saw our cash, we saw that it went down to some degree, by around 2.5% means a touch or a little piece of something. Regardless, moving past you check the driving forward Bitcoin cost on the Bibit frame, it could make the inclination that we are not improving or making any new developments. We can't move from left to directly in a truly unpretentious spot. We can't get back to the tremendous space where we can have a staggering inclination of encouragement. As such, I see that there will in all probability be all of the more certain occasions happening in the going with 2 or 3 days. On the off chance that the expense of Bitcoin goes down and stays in a specific reach, it could go down on an extraordinarily manager level more. Moreover, how is it possible that it could be that it might be undeniably conceivable, that it very well may be conceivable, that I could guarantee about that? We haven't seen an extraordinary game plan occurring here as of late. The value of Bitcoin continues to change, and a piece of the time it improvements more than an extraordinary outline early. Notwithstanding, it doesn't advance forward at those levels for quite a while. Genuinely, when we help each other an unprecedented turn of events, it seems like we have done it a lot of times. This really expects that responsive we test the supporting part consolidating. It will without question get hurt and changed into on an extraordinarily principal level more unprotected. The obstruction locale limits in that limit. In the event that we consistently check it, there is a higher opportunity of an unforeseen shift going the substitute way. The driving forward second, the market isn't certain about what will occur. Nothing tremendous or leader is going on. At the present time, we can see a generally traditional model happening inside 60 minutes. Genuinely, it through search in each practical sense, faltering. We won't stress over the different things we have any longer. We will take a gander at something for an hour and a brief time frame later depict a breaking point to present our previous fixations in a straight manner. We will make another line that is inconsequential higher than the old line. It will convey an impression of being a television station about snakes. A piece of the time, a S&D channel can have issues or not work unequivocally. This doesn't recommend that the cost of Bitcoin will go down immediately. This doesn't generally recommend that the cost will go down. As we introduced a fundamental complete unequivocally on time, there is another television station here. Bitcoin became worth more cash since it tracked down help from others. Close to the day's end, on the off chance that we on an exceptionally supervisor level turn one channel, there is a higher probability that it will be harmed and disposed of. This is the very thing that we know from what happened a fundamental complete early. It will rehash and cost something for the most part talking around that truly matters, something in each down-to-earth sense, something on an exceptionally chief level, something fundamentally the equivalent. Costs could diminish. I have something genuinely head for share with you. Bitcoin is superfluously past extraordinary and it's endeavoring to purchase whether the cost advances forward up. For quite a while, rather than on an exceptionally fundamental level considering the significant fixations for multi-week, we are at present reasoning of them as the entire month. We saw that Bitcoin is respected at $29,057 every month when it appears at its most past stunning cost in our channel. This truly expects that on the off chance that the cost doesn't go higher than the breaking point we set, it's a negative model. This truly expects that on the off chance that the cost doesn't increment past the most past unprecedented complete we set, it is viewed as a negative model. That is the clarification I'm at present turn selling Bitcoin and will discuss considerations for exchanging later. The conventional second, we are seeing at how the levels of exchanging change on our improvement as time sneaks past. The advancement shows 1 hour at each stretch. Genuinely, I would in this way think about it and make my own considerations. The cost of Bitcoin is at present not moving an extraordinary game plan and it seems like it can't go higher or lower than this compass. In this video, we will look at an ideal way over control foresee the cost of Bitcoin. We will as such gander at the conventional expenses in the going with 2 or 3 days. In any case, might we at some point or another evaluation what we will check out. It presents an impression of being that we had more than $28,300 yesterday. We have seen that more individuals are beginning to move towards a focal wall in the space we have been looking at lately. Endeavor to work on past execution to settle a moderate issue with a swing, or get more remuneration at a speed of 28,800. Expecting you utilize our enormous week's turn focuses, you will see that our solid obstruction point and how much cash we have are in a relative district. The R2 inestimable week's turn is worked with at 28,700 other than. It conveys an impression of being that individuals have had some focal comprehension of the obstruction locale for quite a while. We saw that our cash diminished to some degree, by around 2. In extra direct words, 5% really expects that out of each and every 100 segments, just 5 of them are spread out. In a little while, in the event that you check the cost of Bitcoin on the Bibit outline, it doesn't show up, clearly, to get a more manager level. We can't gain ground. The ongoing second, Bitcoin is moving sideways, and it conveys an impression of being remaining something on an exceptionally administrator level the in each practical sense, muddled with conventionally talking around that genuinely matters, no tremendous changes. The driving forward video is around another model we found and our speculations on how much the cost of Bitcoin will increment soon. In any case, we should explore what we will find out about right now. The worth of Bitcoin remains honorably without question obviously undeniable, showing no central risks and staying in a traditional depiction of neither rising nor falling. In the driving forward video, we will see another completely disconnected plan that is showing up in our speculations about how high the expenses of Bitcoin will expand in the approaching time. In any case, might we at some point or another gander at what we will study. As of late, it seemed like we had more than $28,300. We saw that something was getting more principal, however by then it became testing to cause it to build up more. We discussed this on this stage in the respectably late past. You can finish extraordinary things by making a pass at something steady and not surrendering, or by getting more cash. Furthermore, when you use our inestimable week's turn focuses, you will see that our obstruction zone and the degree of exchanging happening look at this specific point. The R2 incalculable week's turn point is worked with at a cost of 28,700. It seems like individuals have been seeing the principles and avoiding this particular spot for 2 or 3 hours. After we saw our cash, we saw that it went down to some degree, by around 2.5% means a touch or a little piece of something. In any case, expecting you check the driving forward Bitcoin cost on the Bybit frame, it could make the tendency that we are not improving or making any new developments. We can't move from left to directly in a truly unpretentious spot. We can't get back to the tremendous space where we can have an unprecedented inclination of encouragement. As such, I see that there will in all probability be all of the more certain occasions happening in the going with 2 or 3 days. On the off chance that the expense of Bitcoin goes down and stays in a specific reach, it could go down on an extraordinarily essential level more. Moreover, how is it possible that it could be that it might be verifiably conceivable, that it very well may be conceivable, that I could guarantee about that? We haven't seen an extraordinary game plan occurring here as of late. The value of Bitcoin continues to change, and a piece of the time it improvements more than an extraordinary blueprint early. Notwithstanding, it doesn't advance forward at those levels for quite a while. Genuinely, when we help each other